Several months later. Thousands of tears later.
Can you introduce yourself?
My name is Beat Zehnder. I'm the sporting director of Sauber Motorsport AG, currently competing as stake F1 team Kick Sauber in Formula 1.
What does your job involve, your main task?
The job of a sporting director varies from team to team. In Sauber, the sporting director is responsible for the overall organization of events. So whenever a Formula 1 car is driving on a race event, on a test event, even on a demo event on streets, the sporting director is responsible for the organization, meaning the personal logistics organization and the freight organization. Personal is flight, hotels, transfers, whatever you need to be operational. Freight in Europe, we're traveling with 17 lorries to bring our equipment from race to race. Overseas, we pack our equipment into specially shaped air freight containers, and then they're being picked up by F1 cargo, so with cargo planes. On top of it, we have 6 identical sets of sea freight with catering equipment, office installation, stuff like this. And because sea freight takes longer than air freight, you need more than one set to ship it to different locations. The sporting director, of course, is responsible for the sporting regulation and is the contact person to the sporting authority, to the FIA, on race events. On top of that, I'm taking care of our young driver program, of our historical cars, pit stop equipment, garage equipment, infrastructure.
What made you want to work in Formula 1?
Actually, there was no key moment. I ended up talking to Peter Sauber on 2 occasions by luck. So I was never interested in racing. I was always saying that everyone sitting in front of TV on Sunday afternoon is a little bit crazy in his head. So I ended up in motorsport really by pure luck, and luckily I ended up like that because I'm here for 37 years now.
Is it a source of pride to work in this field?
Of course, working in one of the 10 Formula 1 teams should make you proud. You should be proud to be in this environment because there are 10 teams. For myself, there are 10 sporting directors, so my profession exists exactly 10 times in the world, so you have to be proud, and you can be proud. F1 is the biggest sport in the world now, and again, there are only so many people who can work in Formula 1.
Can you describe a typical day or week during a Grand Prix?
Sounds probably a little bit more boring than it is, but mainly we're covering our days with meetings, preparation meetings, debriefings, strategy meetings, tire meetings, aero meetings, system meetings, engine meetings, gearbox meetings. So there are a lot of meetings, a lot to discuss. And a typical day normally would arrive at 7:30 in the morning. We have breakfast at the circuit, start work at 8 o'clock. 3 hours later, is the first practice session. Before the practice session, you have meetings. After the session, you have meeting. Then you have a break of 2.5 hours for the next practice session. Again, before the session, you have meetings. After the session, you have meetings. On Friday, you have a driver's briefing. So all drivers, all sporting directors together. You have media briefings. So the time spent on the pit wall, for me, is probably the least amount during a day. So the rest of the day is filled with meeting. But this is important because you want to stress out every thousandth of a second you can. So you have to fine tune. You have to develop your car on a weekend to get the best machine you can have on track.
What's the biggest challenge you faced in your career?
It's quite interesting because when I was promoted to sporting director or team manager at the time in '94. This was all new. This was all new for me, and it came by surprise. Like I ended up working for Sauber. So at the beginning, everything was a challenge because I never booked a hotel for myself for holidays or so, and all of a sudden I had to do it for a whole group. So this was a huge challenge. But the biggest challenge always is if you have one of your drivers seriously hurt, involved in an accident. Quite often, and luckily, they walk away unhurt, like Joe in Silverstone a couple of years ago. But this is the biggest challenge. If you have one driver in an accident, then you have a second car. You have to concentrate because the race is normally going on. So you have to concentrate on the second car, knowing that you have one driver in hospital, probably seriously injured. So this is always a challenge to split your mindset into two parts. So one side you have to do some organization part of the driver who is in the hospital, and on the other side you still have to concentrate on the race.
What is the most important quality for a sporting director in such as competitive environments as F1?
Most important quality of a sporting director is probably to stay calm in all circumstances, whatever happens. Try to make a step back, try to have a picture of the overall situation and be a leader and give instructions with concise and short messages. So whatever happens, you have to keep your nerve.
What are the most difficult decisions to make during races?
The most difficult decisions during races are always short-term decision. So you have a dry start and then all of a sudden you have a downpour and it's raining. Then the decision-making process obviously is shorter than with the normal strategy. You have to assess how, for example, how strong is the downpour, how strong is it raining, for how long is it raining, can the driver possibly be staying out on a set of slick tires, does he come in, what tires do we give him? So it's always the mixed situations. Everything else during the race, you have so many meetings, debriefings, strategy meetings, lap by lap what you should do, and obviously you have to read the race as well because the computer gives you the direction, but still you have to read the race and see what's going on around you.
What are the biggest lessons you've learned in your career?
Difficult. Don't take anything for granted. No, it's double check everything. No, it's first of all, try to be proactive. It's important not just to rely on other people. Be proactive. Get the answers you want, you need. Get decisions you need, and just don't wait. Be proactive and take life in your hand. Take the business in your hand.
How do you measure the success of a season outside of track results?
So now, obviously, there are different levels of satisfaction. I mean, the biggest satisfying weekend is obviously if you have sporting success and you end up in points and sometimes even on the podium. Talking now from our perspective, but you have other levels of performance which are measurable, which are important. For example, how reliable is your car? How many DNFs did not finish? Did you have with your car? What are the cause of the problems? What are the roots? How are your pit stops? Is measurable. For example, 24 we started on the left foot because we had some issue on the technical side with the pit stop equipment, and there you have to improve the situation and improve the pit stop speed overall time, and we've done an excellent job this year with our pit stop crew starting in not in a good position and ended up almost as quick as every race. So there are a lot of other things than the pure result you can measure, and and take as a guidance for the following years.
What are your thoughts on Cadillac's arrivals in 2026?
Fantastic. I mean, this shows how Formula One is pushing now. This shows how Formula One is set in the world. It's one of the biggest sports. And if you have a car manufacturer like Cadillac interested in joining this elite group of 10 teams, there's nothing better can happen to the F1.
What is the biggest challenge facing F1 today?
F1 is going very well. We are breaking records after records in terms of spectators on television, spectators watching us live at the circuit. The biggest challenge for sure is sustainability. We want to have a leading role, Formula One, all teams, we want to have a leading role in the sustainability discussion. We're doing a lot already. The promoters, they have banned plastic from the racetrack, so there are no PET bottles anymore. We have water stations. We have more like wooden plates and wooden cutlery. So we banned plastic. We are changing the calendar in order that it makes more sense in terms of the order we do races, so not flying from east to west, from west to east, being more regional. But this is the biggest challenge today, is really sustainability and how we are going to make the future for Formula One in a more sustainable way.
What role do simulation and IA in the development of race strategies?
We have a strategy tool called RaceWatch, which can simulate 1 million races. So you're in Melbourne, race number 1. You have got all the data points collected on Friday and Saturday, and then you run through the program, and you have a strategy tool which can give you the basics and the best possible strategy. Again, here, obviously, the situation is not always as the computer says. You might have virtual safety car, an accident, double yellow. You might have a problem with your car. You being lapped, you can unlap, and stuff like this. It's not everything is not. You cannot simulate everything, but a lot. AI. It's not only on strategy. AI will become a crucial part for the future, 100%. And it's not only strategy, it's wind tunnel work, CFD, so computer, fluid design. You can do much more in a shorter period of time, and AI will be the future, not only in Formula One, like so many other areas in our lives.
Is it sometimes difficult to discuss certain decisions with the FIA?
No, it's not difficult to discuss. Sometimes, of course, you have 10 teams, you have 20 drivers. If a decision is being made, it normally doesn't suit 10 teams and 20 drivers. No, but yeah, the FIA is open and they're listening. There is an open discussion. As again, we have a drivers briefing every weekend. Every weekend we have a race. We sit together with the drivers and sporting directors with the FIA, and again, you're not happy all the time with the decisions of the FIA, but often you can recap why a decision has been taken, and if you're not happy, the doors of the stewards or the judges on a weekend are always open to all those sporting directors, so we can always have an exchange in discussion if we want.
Is it hard for you to work so hard and not get the results you want?
Yes, of course. Question is always, where do you set your goals? For us, coming from a financial difficult decade, from 2010 till 2017, we were lacking finances. We knew that we're not going to win races. We already know that we're probably not going to win races next year or this year. But the question is always, where is your target? Where is your goal? And important is that you set goals and that you want to achieve the goals. And our goal for 2025 is going to be the 7th position in the championship, and we're going to work our ass off for this, and we all together, and we have to do it, and then you go step by step. And as we know, not every team can win races.
Is there a particular driver you admire?
It's not a secret. Kimi is my mate. Kimi came to Sauber when he was 20 years old. He had no experience whatsoever. He was very weak. And we had to invest a lot of time, a lot of energy to bring him up to a level. And this was like three months later after his first F1 test, to bring him to Formula One. And he's one of the most thankful person I've ever met. So he's still very thankful to Peter Sauber, who gave him the chance, to Joseph Leber, the physio, and to myself, who taught him what Formula One is about.
If I'm not mistaken, 2024 was your last year as sporting director. How do you feel about it?
Yes, and I decided to step back from my role as a sporting director. I'm still here to help. I'm still supervising my successor, and I'm still doing all the races in 2025. But I've decided after 37 years of traveling, and I mean I've done almost 600 Formula One Grand Prix and 36 sports car prototype events consecutive. So I never missed one since March 1988. So I decided to step back a little bit, to spend more time with my wife. I'm together with her for 20 years, but I probably have seen her 8 years in the 20 years. Not to spend more time with my wife and with my friends, and to have a less stressful day-to-day business.